What is up, Drum Alert Nation? Is this your host, Killer Kimstar? Is it? I don't know. You tell me. Cão do caralho. Ei! Anyway, hello. How you guys doing? Eu fiz arroz. É isso. Foi isso que eu fiz hoje. Ora bem, deixa eu ver o que é que eu posso dar um grandíssimo check out. Wait, what? PlayStation being sued? Is that real? Eu não sei se quero ver. Eu não sei se quero estar a ver este tipo de vídeos.
A class action lawsuit has been filed against PlayStation for nearly $6 billion by a consumer champion named Alex Neal. Now, I'm not Saul
Alex
Goodman,
Jones?
but if I was, I'd start planting cocaine right now because this is a huge lawsuit that's going to need a miracle to win, I think. I'm not an expert here, but it does seem like this lawsuit's got teeth, and they're coming at Sony's throat. 6 billion clams, 6 billion barnacles. You know how much I love wackiness. I love wackiness more than Bubble Bass loves Krabby Patties, and this lawsuit's got me hyped. Now, this lawsuit is proudly brought to you by PlayStationYouOweUs.co.uk, which is a beautiful website name. Like, that's pretty aggressive. It reminds me of like a Roblox petition to get their V-Bucks back or something. But this was a site where people would sign up who felt wronged by Sony, and Alex Neal is the class representative. And on the site, there's a 5-point breakdown that talks about why they're trying to steam PlayStation's ham. So the first point being that Sony has a near monopoly on the sale of digital games and add-on content through its control of the PlayStation Store.
I don't do anything
Sony uses this dominance to enforce strict terms and conditions on game developers and publishers. These terms allow Sony to set the price of digital games and in-game content and charge a 30% commission on every purchase of digital games and in-game content from the PlayStation Store. This results in excessive and unfair prices to consumers for their digital games and in-game content. And these prices are all out of proportion to the costs of Sony providing these services to...
How you doing, my man? Muito boas noites para o senhor. Então, o que é que andas a fazer, man? Trabalhaste muito hoje? Isto pode ser maior? Pode. Wait, what is this? Sony has a near monopoly on the sale of digital games. Really? Sony?
To its consumers. So basically they're saying that Sony has used its dominant position in the market to unfairly overcharge consumers. Now, for reference, this was filed in the UK, and a brand new PS5 game in the UK will cost you about £70, which is the equivalent to $82. So I do think they're getting fucked in the ass a bit here. It's quite an overcharge, if you ask me. And I'd love to see them win this lawsuit, you know. Power to the players, as PlayStation says. But the more I read into it, the less confident I feel that they'll be able to Fortnite dance on the grave of Sony with this lawsuit. I don't really think they're going to get a big W from it. And let me just explain why I think that. I'd love to be proven wrong. Like I said, I think it would be great if they actually did win this lawsuit because I do believe they're being overcharged. But I don't think they have the strongest case here. Just looking at these first 5 points, the first one just stands out as factually incorrect. They're claiming that Sony has a near monopoly on the sale.
Exatamente. Eles não têm monopólio. Esse é que é o grande problema. É exatamente como ele diz, tipo, that doesn't seem right. Porquê que eu disse that doesn't seem right? Porque eles simplesmente não têm monopólio.
Of digital games and
That's
add-on
why
content, which is
that's why they're gonna lose.
just blatantly wrong. I would slap you with a fat F on your report card if you submitted this to me. Like, that is just not true. There's Xbox,
começa logo mal.
Nintendo, Steam. There's so many other digital games vendors out there.
True.
It's not just Sony. Now,
Epic
if you're talking
Game
about
Store.
PlayStation exclusives, then yes, Sony has a monopoly on the digital sale of the PlayStation exclusives. But if that is the claim, it needs to be a lot more clear, because with the wording here, it just makes it sound like you think Sony is the only console to exist and the only platform for digital games, which it isn't. The other thing that was confusing my little reptile brain was that 30% commission they mentioned, talking about how the Sony demands 30% cut of digital game and in-game purchase sales from the developers. That's not exclusive to just Sony. Xbox, Nintendo eShop, pretty much every digital game vendor has some kind of commission that they force.
Yeah.
It's not just Sony, so I don't understand why they would target them specifically.
Pois, mas eles estão a falar de PS5, não estão a falar de jogos. E para além disso, há outra coisa. A percentage. Se eles vão queixar de uma. Ouve, se eles forem. Se é para se queixarem da percentage que se tira aos developers, seria a Steam. A Steam é que tem percentages que não são lá muito boas. São tipo 50% ou 100%. Está tudo ao lado, meu. Esta tentativa de lawsuit é tudo ao lado. Ao menos conheçam o mercado primeiro, digo eu.
Like a new Nintendo Switch game is £50, which when converted to like US dollars is about what we're paying in the States. However, when it comes to the PlayStation Store, that's not the case. So a new PlayStation 5 game in the States is $70. And in the UK, it's £70. However, that converts to a lot more. That's 82 US dollars. They are just blatantly paying more. Instead of adjusting that price down to like £60 or whatever, they just keep it at that 70, and thus they're being overcharged. At least that's what I was reading from the UK consumers, which, again, at the end of the day, it's blatantly obvious that they are paying a lot more for games than we are in the States, and I totally do agree that it is a ripoff. And Alex Neal, the class representative, has 14 years of experience as a consumer rights advocate, so it's not some joke of a lawsuit that was haphazardly thrown together by a faceless nobody. This isn't like that situation on Twitch where that guy tried to sue Twitch for like $100 million because he couldn't stop watching female streamers and ejaculating and tried to blame Twitch for a porn addiction. That's funny. This is a real legitimate case that Alex Neal has put together, but I just don't know if it's focused enough to actually win. It seems way too generalized and broad, and you can look no further than their own website, where at the very end of these 5 points, they made this statement that just seems a bit misguided to me. This just seems like another desperate effort to throw something at the wall and see what sticks. The business model of gaming has changed dramatically over recent years. The move from games sold as physical discs to games sold digitally has seen the introduction of in-game content, where players must now also pay to progress, unlock more features, or customize their experience with new characters or weapons. Games are now designed to incentivize players to spend as much money as possible, including children. We believe that customers are paying too much for these digital products and that they deserve to be treated better by Sony and compensated. Our legal action is the first of its kind against Sony in the UK. Now, I am never a fan of the children argument. I don't see why they put this here at all, because this doesn't even really run in line with what the lawsuit...
Espera, este último texto... acho que não houve... Ok, não sei se houve lawsuits, mas houve coisas a tratar disso. Eles já consideraram... Acho que no UK já consideraram que, por exemplo, como é que chama aquilo? Loot boxes são gambling. Portanto, é pointless estar a dizer este último texto. Tipo, não sei o que é que está ali a fazer sequer. Jesus, eles não conhecem o mercado, meu.
It's aiming for. This is talking about how predatory microtransactions have become the norm, which they have, and it's a huge issue. But that's not what this lawsuit's really about. It's about being overcharged by the PlayStation Store.
Ainda por cima é isso.
Talking about predatory and greedy marketing practices from these games that are preying on children, or like fucking massive dopamine hits, dopamine fiends to spend more money is an issue, yes, but it's not the issue that you're really aiming at here. You're not putting that in the crosshairs. And it's also not like Sony is the puppet master forcing all these developers to be greedy and put these microtransactions in the game. Like, let's say Diablo Immortals on PS5. Sony has no say-so in what way they monetize that game. It's on their platform, sure, but it was Blizzard that decided to put all of those terrible, terrible microtransactions in there that are preying on, you know, people with a spending problem or children or whatever. Not Sony. Now, if the argument Sony keeps those prices too high, then yes, I suppose there's a real argument to be made there that the price is still too high. But the way this is framed makes it sound like it was Sony that decided to put all of those there when it wasn't. It wasn't their decision to have all of those predatory business practices baked into those games. That was the developers. I just don't really get why it's mentioned here. Because let's say Sony brings the price down so that way it's more fair across the board, where, you know, if you're buying a microtransaction in a game in the UK, it costs exactly the same as what it costs me to buy it in the States. It still doesn't solve the core issue that you're bringing up here with the games being predatory, right? Like, this whole paragraph here is like almost like fear-mongering. Like, games have become really greedy, and it's partly Sony's fault to some degree, which is why we believe you need to be compensated fairly, and we believe you need to be treated better. Like, what exactly do you mean? Again, getting the price down on microtransactions doesn't solve the problem you just highlighted of them being greedy and intrusive. That's still going to exist. Even if you win every single bit of this case, those microtransactions are still going to be there from the developers because it wasn't Sony that put them there. And just one last thing, in the press release, Neil wrote, "The game is up for Sony PlayStation. With this legal action, I am standing up for the millions of UK people who have been unwittingly overcharged. We believe Sony has abused its position and ripped off its customers." Alex Neil hits us with an anime protagonist line saying, "The game's up, Sony. I caught you with your pants down, red-handed. It's time to face the music." And then in the press release, they also kind of frame it like the consumers didn't know they were being overcharged. But I just don't know how true that is. They kind of hint that it's Sony's fault that the consumers didn't know they were being overcharged. Like Sony was doing underhanded business tactics. When I just don't know if I believe that, because Sony doesn't really do anything besides just have a platform with a game and the price next to it. And you choose whether or not to buy it. Now, if you're not comparing that to the rest of the world's prices, then yeah, you would have no idea you're paying more than I am, for example.
Isto parece super high value.
That was doing anything to mislead them, at least not that I've ever seen. They just put the games on their service with how much they cost, and it's up to the consumer if they find it to be a reasonable price or not. Now, if they do any research, they'll realize that they're paying more, and Australia especially is paying more than I am. Which is fucked up because there's no reason for it, but I don't think Sony has done anything to try and lead them down some false belief or anything. I think it's just a matter of they've been charging more and no one's really been questioning it, so they haven't changed it. And that's it. They haven't really been doing any kind of like propaganda to try and fool people into thinking that, you know, everyone's paying the same thing.
Vou ser honesto, eu não tenho explorado muito.
Up to them being exploited, I think it's great that they're, you know, upset
eu tinha
about
mesmo muitos
jars e cenas, não é? I don't think they should be paying more for no reason for the same game. It doesn't make any sense. But I just don't really like the way they talk about it in the press release because they're putting that onus on Sony.
Bundle
that
of
it was,
precious
you know,
Poland.
them keeping people in the dark when it wasn't. They
approximately
just put the
985.
Anyway, overall, I really do hope they win this class action lawsuit, and hopefully the prices do change.
Mas e estes quanto?
It's a whole bunch of baloney that you're paying significantly more money for the same game in the UK,
Essas coisas melhor
wherever else. It doesn't make any sense. There's no reason for that. So hopefully this does bring about positive change, and wishing them the best of luck. I just wanted to bring this up because this is a big lawsuit.
Eu queria vender isto também.
So, yeah.
Jesus, olha o Alien Samples. É só mesmo para dar aos gags, ok. Podia ter mais funções ou assim. Jesus Cristo. Meter isto no storage container. Há aqui umas coisas que eu tenho para aumentar a rap. Yeah. Eu ainda não estou no máximo, meu. Fogo. Eu acho que devia fazer umas quests ou assim. Fuck. Olha, dizem um vídeo para eu fazer react. PewDiePie calls somebody the N-word. That never happened. Hoje andei a armar-me com os weekend e agora estou quase. Yeah, andaste a meter-te com eles. Eu já fiz coisas por acidente, tipo, hey, who is this guy? E, tipo, destruir uma nave qualquer e tipo, perder respect com eles. Isso e também. Há uma cena que é uma espécie de mini-jogo. Tens de adivinhar uma palavra qualquer que ele goste. Que eles gostem. Uma vez perdi montes de standing por causa disso também. Estava sempre a dizer o errado. Que sério? Mas já voltaste ao multiplayer? Eu nem sei porque é que estou a jogar isto. Andas a fazer missões para os piratas. Oh, e por acaso consistiam em foder a vida aos vikings. Tenho que vender essas resources. Não é possível vender aqui, mas pronto. Jesus. Gravitino. Adoras este jogo? Tens muita coisa para ver? Eu não sei se tenho muito mais para ver. Acho que é mais os Abyssal Orders que são peixes e dão jumpscare. Isso não vi, acho eu. Vi os Abyssal Orders que estão à porta das... como é que se chama? Das bases, e assim. Olha, onde é que está? Se eu fosse a dizer, a listar uma coisa que me falta, seria fazer as quests multiplayer. Fiz uma só, uma vez, sozinho. O que obviamente é uma ideia bastante estúpida. Que cena, onde é que estou, meu? Uma living ship? Não. Acho que uma vez ouvi falar disso. Olha, isso não tenho. É verdade. Should I sell... What? Porquê que o value está a alterar? What is this? Uma living ship é o endgame? Uma Titan Worm é o endgame? O que é que é o... Não percebi, o que é o endgame? Wait, hold on. Caga nisso. Wait, hold on. Porquê que eu não posso ver... Porquê que eu não posso vender coisas que estão na Starship? Pois... Aí, o que é que está aqui a fazer? E porquê que não posso vender coisas que estão... This is the weirdest. Oh, pera aí. Oh, no Magno Gold, please. Ok. É daqui que vêm os nanitos, meu, eu acho. É quando andas a matar os gajos e eles largam estas coisas. When the game é obter living ships. Ah! I wonder how. No idea how. Olha, vou ficar ali com o Penguins forever. É melhor tirá-lo, não é? Olha que isto agora é um React channel. Espera aí. Não me apeteceu fazer... não me apetece fazer aquilo. Não me apetece fazer o... chama-se... Exato. Moist. É o Moist Critical. Tem aqui coisas com Andrew Tate, queres ver? É melhor não me apetece. Man, podia ser uma cena sobre videojogos, isso era cool. The Insane Lore of Tekken. 1h50. Foda-se. Se for do YouTube, podes pôr. Ei. Ei. Ei, silêncio. Já passou. Meu Deus. Podes mandar links do YouTube, já disse. Epá. Que sono. Foda-se. Não quero ver nada disto, meu. Memories of Tokyo 2. What is this? Isto parece um... Parece um remix de Jet Set Radio. Ou será mesmo Jet Set Radio? This just sounds official. Isto é Tekken? Isto é um riff de Tekken? Tekken 3. Esta bateria parece saída do Fruity Loops, não é? Está ali o nome, maninho, olha ali. Pump Up the Love. O que é que se passa ali, tá? Isto vai ser vivo? O YouTube está-me a recomendar, apareceu uma notificação a dizer Recommended, Jordan Peterson in The Shining.
Are you hearing this or what? Is your heart pounding with the beat?
What the fuck?
Am I getting through to you? Show me what you got. I'm counting on y'all.
Eu não sei porque é que ele recomenda. E quando digo recomendar, digo mesmo aparecer na cena das notificações. Que, by the way, é literalmente a primeira vez que me aparece uma recomendação de um vídeo nas notificações. Aliás, eu só tenho 3. As outras 2 são pessoas tipo a responder ou gostar de comentários. Queria ver o vídeo despedido do Andrew Tate. Espera, isso é o que tu tens. Isso é o que tu tens andado a fazer. Tens andado a ver vídeos do. Tens andado a ver vídeos do gajo. Como é que eu apanho? Porquê? Porquê é que eu estou a ver isto? O que é isto, Vitor? Esta música parece aqueles reality shows. És um subscritor ao curso do Top G. Pois porque o gajo vendia cursos, não era?
When it comes to building skyscrapers, there is no piece of construction equipment more essential than the tower crane. These heavy lifting machines dominate city skylines, hoisting materials and machinery to some of the highest construction sites on Earth. They have become a part of everyday life in almost every major city as contractors race to build high-rise after high-rise, and more than 100,000 can be found in operation around the world at any given time. Despite how common tower cranes are, they often seem to appear in the sky out of nowhere, leaving many of us wondering how they got there in the first place. The vast majority are erected using mobile cranes that are larger in size,
não era tipo
but
cursos
obviously this can't always
para
be done when we're
self-help.
building a record-breaking structure, and taller cranes simply don't exist. Some construction sites in dense urban
Eu vi uma coisa
areas
qualquer
may
que
not
dizia que
have
ele
enough
vendia
space for a
tipo
large
acesso a
mobile
Discord
crane either,
server
and many projects also
onde tinha
require
12
tower
bros a
cranes to be
ensinar
erected in
coisas.
stages so that they
Nem
rise
sequer era
in
ele,
unison
era
with the
um
constructed portion of the building.
random
In these
dude bros.
scenarios, the cranes must raise themselves to the final
Ele
working height
provavelmente
all on
dava
their
tipo
own
10
using a
euros
method known as climbing,
por mês ou
and
assim
that
a
is
cada
what we
um.
will be looking at in today's video. In general terms, climbing a tower crane simply refers to the process of adding or removing sections of the mast in order to increase or decrease the overall height. The concept is fairly straightforward in principle, but it is quite difficult to execute safely in the field, with catastrophic consequences if anything should go wrong. It is one of the most dangerous operations that can be performed with a tower crane, and it is only carried out when absolutely necessary to complete a project. Before climbing can begin, a tower crane must first be erected to an initial height using a suitable mobile crane. The process begins by constructing a stable foundation, which usually consists of a large concrete slab reinforced with steel rebar, and this takes place about a month before the crane goes vertical, so that the concrete has enough time to cure. Once the concrete has reached its full strength, the first steel truss section of the mast is lifted into place, and it is secured with anchor bolts that are embedded in the foundation. Additional sections are then stacked on top of one another to complete the tower portion of the crane, and they are fastened together with high-strength steel bolts. The mast is topped off with a slewing unit, which is basically a turntable that allows the top of the crane to rotate, and this serves as a base for the operator's cab and lifting components. The exact arrangement of the top assembly varies depending on the type of tower crane, but the one shown here has a hammerhead configuration, with a cathead and a fixed jib that cannot be moved up or down. The cathead is the first component to be installed on top of the slewing unit, followed by the counter jib and working jib, and these are connected with steel tie rods that help to transfer loads to the mast. Once the top assembly is complete, a counterweight is then added to the counter jib, which normally consists of several concrete slabs. The counterweight helps to balance the load when the crane is performing a lift, effectively reducing the bending moment, or torque, that must be carried by the mast. Since the working jib is fixed on this particular crane, a trolley system must be used to adjust the radius of the hook so that the load can be positioned closer or further from the mast. This is not the case for luffing jib tower cranes, however, as they can adjust the radius simply by raising or lowering the working jib. In either case, the ability to change the position of the load makes it possible to perfectly balance the crane on top of the mast, and this is essential for the climbing process to be carried out safely. When a tower crane is ready to be climbed,
Deixa eu ver o que é que disseste. Há pouco tempo viste um membro da Hustle Academy à solta. Na vida real? No ginásio deve ser tipo mais de metade, devem ser Tate Bros, não? Essencialmente era um homem de mais ou menos 30 anos, careca, óculos de sol, barba minimamente decente, com a camisa e calças de fato, incrível. Não sei porquê, mas low-key achei tanta piada.
Steel climbing frame is first assembled around the base of the tower.
Eu conheci uns gajos uma vez, tipo, quando estava... Houve uma altura na vida, depois de fazer um curso qualquer de... Como é que se chama aquilo? Curso de formador. Era assim uma cena. De formador. E estava lá dois gajos que tinham uma barbershop, uma cena assim. Meus gajos eram mesmo... Eram grandes Tates, meu. Eu percebi... Como é que eu ia dizer? Eu sinto que a cultura... Isto já foi para aí há 5 anos. Mas a cultura do gajo... Ou dos, não, era mais de um deles. Não era bem dos dois. De um deles... Era muito parecida com aquilo que nós vemos com gajos como o Tate e assim. No ginásio, a maior parte do que vejo é Senhora de uma Vida Estranha. A manobra que ele fazia para meter uma gasolina no carro, a maneira que... What? Que ele fechava a coisa onde se põe gasolina. A fabulastiedade de como ele caiu no chão. Assim ele caiu no chão. Isto não é lá muito alpha male.
And it is lifted up to the underside of the slewing unit. The frame has a square cross-section with a lattice structure around 3 sides, but the front is left open so that new mast sections can pass through. The top is securely fastened to the underside of the slewing unit with high-strength steel bolts, and a hydraulic jack at the bottom is positioned over a push point on the existing mast. A new mast section is then hoisted up to the frame, where it is either placed on a steel tray or suspended from a guide rail that extends out above the opening. At this point, the top of the crane must be perfectly balanced over the jack before it can be lifted, which is accomplished by placing a weight on the hook to offset the counterweights. An additional mast section is typically used for this, and it is positioned at a precise radius from the mast, so that there is no net moment applied onto the climbing frame. The crane top essentially behaves like a large balance scale during the climb, and it could topple off the mast if its center of gravity is not in line with the jack. In addition, the climbing frame is not designed to carry significant torsion, and it is extremely important that the crane is not slewed during the climbing process. The new mast sections are therefore arranged in a straight line on the ground to eliminate any need to rotate the crane, and the operator will usually leave the cabin during the climb, so that the crane cannot be slewed accidentally. Once the crane is confirmed to be in balance and all safety checks have cleared, the hydraulic cylinder is then pressurized to take the weight of the crane top, and the slewing unit is unbolted from the top of the mast. The cylinder is used to lift the climbing frame along with the top of the crane until there is enough clearance to insert a new mast section, which usually requires several strokes depending on the cylinder's length. The mast section can then be maneuvered inside the frame, where it is bolted to the underside of the slewing unit, and the hydraulic cylinder is depressurized so that the bottom of the new section engages with the top of the existing mast. After the joints are securely fastened, the cylinder
Se calhar o
is retracted and
verdadeiro
repositioned
Sigma
on the next push
Grind
point,
Set
and the whole cycle can
tem que ter
repeat
interesse
until
em
the
tudo,
crane
não é?
reaches the desired height.
Eu não sei. Era um ser interessante e achaste piada? Damn, coitado do gajo. Vamos criar uma empresa de construção civil. Opa, pelo que eu percebo, eles são muito requisitados.
Once the process is complete, the climbing
Não tenho
frame will
grande
either
interesse
be
em
lowered
um
down
vídeo
the mast
excelente para
or
ver o meu
removed
cabo.
entirely until it is needed to raise the crane higher
my
or to
God.
bring it back down at the end of construction. Now, up to this point, we have only talked about tower cranes that
so.
climb externally on the outside of a building. However, they
Constróis
can
a
also
sopa
climb internally
típico.
on the inside of a building. In this scenario, the weight of the crane is carried by the constructed portion of the building, which can increase the lifting capacity and reduce costs by eliminating the need for a tall mast. The process begins in the same way as before by erecting a crane on top of a concrete foundation, but the tower must now include a climbing section at the bottom that will be used to lift the crane later on. As the building is constructed around the mast, two steel collars are installed approximately 3 stories apart, which connect the crane to the building's structural system.
Fazes horas extras sem receber
Climbing
dinheiro
rails
extra.
extend between the collars down the inside of the open shaft,
Yes, cash.
and these provide support for a hydraulic jack that is positioned inside the mast climbing section. When the crane is ready to be climbed, the tower is unbolted from the foundation, and the hydraulic cylinder is pressurized to take its weight. The
Mas eu gosto da
cylinder is
primeira
then
nave.
used to lift the crane upwards until the bottom
Já
of the
podia ter
mast
mudado
reaches
para
the
outras,
third
mas eu gosto
collar,
desta.
while a ratcheting
Então já dei
system
upgrade.
ensures that the crane cannot fall back down the shaft. As additional floors are added to the building, a third collar is installed 3 stories above the first two, and the crane can then be lifted from the bottom collar to the middle one.
What the fuck are they doing?
At this point, the bottom collar is no longer needed, so it is removed and relocated another 3 stories above, thus allowing the whole process to be repeated as the building stretches higher. When construction is finally complete, the tower crane will either be disassembled using a larger mobile crane, or a smaller crane will be hoisted to the top
muito
of the
spooky de
building
ver.
that can be dismantled by hand once the
Helicopter
tower
may be
crane is
used to
removed.
remove the tower crane.
Tower cranes play an essential role in countless construction projects all around the world, and their ability to climb upwards entirely on their own means there is
Plantam a grua
virtually
e
no
ela-
limit to how high we can build.
E ela constrói-se
These
sozinha.
awesome machines always get the job done safely and efficiently, just like the sponsor for today's video, NordPass.
Oh my god,
We all know
NordPass,
that using a
finally.
unique password for every website is the best way to protect your
Faulty
online accounts,
apparatus.
but it can often be difficult to remember all these passwords
Tenho
and
uma ideia.
time-consuming
Eu não
to
tenho
enter them
nível
into web pages
9
yourself.
mercenários, acho que tenho
That's where
8.
NordPass comes in, by storing your credentials behind a single master password and autofilling them with just one click. NordPass was created by the cybersecurity experts at NordVPN, and it
the
has been carefully
fuck?
designed to store all your passwords securely
Recomendado,
so you
Jorge
can access
Padam.
them
Eu
from
não sei o que é
anywhere.
isto. Eu não sei porque é que
All your
você
data is
está-me a recomendar
encrypted
coisas do
locally for
Jordan
maximum
Peterson.
security, and your login
Aliás, vídeos.
details
Não sei
are
como estou a
automatically backed
recomendar
up and
vídeos.
synced between your devices.
Muito menos
Using NordPass
Peterson.
has been a huge time saver for me since I use dozens of online services daily, and I never have to worry about forgetting a complex password. When I signed into YouTube this morning to publish this video, I simply hit the autofill icon on the right-hand side, selected my saved login, and my password was filled instantaneously without ever touching my keyboard.
Oh my
I have
god.
estimated that NordPass can save up to 10 seconds for every login.
Oh
and
my
although
god.
that might not
10
sound like a lot at
seconds?
first, it can
Oh
easily add
my
up to more than 10 hours
god.
per year. If you would like to give it a try for yourself, then simply enter your email address at nordpass.com/artofengineering to get 1 month of NordPass Premium for free, or use code artofengineering10 to get 10% off a 2-year plan. NordPass is a powerful tool for keeping your passwords safe, organized, and accessible, and I highly recommend that you check them out by going to nordpass.com/artofengineering using the link in
Skip
the
the
description.
fucking ad.
Don't forget to subscribe if you enjoyed today's video, and remember to hit the bell to get notified every time a new one comes out. If you are interested in
Estou a jogar, meu,
supporting
não
Art of
posso.
Engineering and future projects, then you can also check out my Patreon page using the link below. As always, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the
Eu
next
já sei
one.
o que ia fazer. Au. Acho que não estou lá. Espera, estou no lado certo ou errado? Sabes que o meu React game é muito low tier, meu. É por isso que eu não sou o PewDiePie nem nada. Mas não consigo parar de pensar no PewDiePie por nenhuma razão. Já cá estou. Deixa cá ver aqui uma coisa. I hope you find this video uplifting. Come on, man. Isto é uma pana ao nível do Toga. Jesus, então um gajo... Fusga-se. Um gajo a dizer que é um Tower Crane Operator. Foda-se. Que foi durante 25 anos. Levou montes de choques. E houve algumas close calls. Damn. Também gosto de ver documentários acerca de assassinos e assaltos aparentemente impossíveis. Epá, estou a pensar se quero mesmo entrar nesse mood. Havia umas cenas engraçadas que eram os... aquelas entrevistas a suspeitos em que eles já têm quase certeza absoluta de que são culpados. Está aqui JCS Criminal Psychology, Mandela Catalog. Eu não sei o que é isso, mas olha aqui, esta cena é fucked up, queres ver? Olha.
On the 2nd of August 2017, at approximately
The last person seen with Savannah.
21-year-old Savannah Gold left her parents' home and drove to San Jose
Nunca
Boulevard
vi
in
este.
Jacksonville, Florida. She had a 5:30 shift at the Bonefish Grill, a casual seafood restaurant where she worked as a waitress. But on this occasion, she never showed up. It was a fairly quiet Wednesday afternoon at the diner. Her absence wasn't too much of a
This is
strain,
fucking crazy,
so the
dude.
on-duty supervisor simply took her hours off the roster for that day and thought nothing else of it. Suspicions only arose roughly 1 hour and 15 minutes after Savannah had left the house, as her father received a text message from her phone number.
I just wanted to tell your mom, I met a really great guy, and we
Savannah's
are
older
late.
brother also received a text 43 seconds
Para ver
later.
os erros que não cometer.
Although both texts came from Savannah's number, her family knew right away that something wasn't right. She had just left the house in what appeared to be very high spirits, but now proclaimed to be running away with an unidentified man without packing so much as a change of clothes. Not only that, but the text messages were riddled with
Dizes
errors
que eu estou
composed in a
miúda.
completely different way to how she would normally
Sabes o que é que eu li
write.
mal?
Her phone was switched off when they tried calling
Está cheio
just
de erros.
minutes after
O
receiving the
texto da-
texts, so they immediately called her place of work and found out that she hadn't shown up. It was at that point they called police and filed a missing persons report.
Quer dizer que eu sou a
Savannah
tua
had been
nova
gone
miúda.
for less than 2 hours. Roughly 40 minutes later, her car was found unlocked and abandoned in the Bonefish Grill parking lot, and the only thing missing was her phone. Her wallet, ID, and a number of other valuable items had not been taken. Investigators went through the parking lot surveillance tapes and discovered what would then become the primary piece of evidence for the case. The majority of footage remains undisclosed to the public, but a detailed description of what occurred has already been released. What we know is that Savannah parked her car and stepped out of the vehicle at exactly 5:31 p.m. She then walked over to another vehicle and conversed with the occupant for 14 minutes through the driver's side window. She then got into the back seat of said vehicle at 5:45 p.m. 14 seconds later, the car began to shake sporadically as if some type of struggle was occurring inside. The rear door swung open 3 times, but was immediately and forcefully shut each time. It appeared as though someone was attempting to get out, but couldn't. This lasted for 49 seconds until the vehicle suddenly stopped moving. A male figure was then seen getting out and proceeded to walk over to Savannah's car that was 20 feet away. The surveillance was grainy, and the person could not be identified from the footage alone. All that police could ascertain was that he had short brown hair and was roughly 5'11". The unidentified person reached into Savannah's car and took out what police believed was her phone. He then slashed the front tire with a knife before walking back to his own vehicle. He got in and drove away from the scene at exactly 6:04 p.m. Savannah was never seen exiting the car. This was a crucial piece of evidence, and essentially all investigators had to go on. They had to find out who the man was in the video, and fast. But they also had to be careful in how they conducted their investigation. They couldn't let anyone find out they had this footage in their possession, as knowing this information could allow a suspect to alter their alibi to fit with the evidence. This would take a significant advantage away from investigators during interrogation, and would hinder their ability to build a case to a considerable degree. Over the following 2 days, investigators briefly interviewed all the staff at the Bonefish Grill. For the most part, these encounters consisted of just 3 questions. When was the last time you saw Savannah? Do you know where she is? And is there anything you know that could help with our investigation? Within 48 hours, they had 3 potential suspects, whose names were then ran through the motor insurance database. The first suspect didn't have a license. The second suspect owned a bright red 2001 Jeep Cherokee, while the third suspect was registered to a 2012 silver Chevy Malibu, an identical match to the vehicle seen on surveillance. His name was Lee Rodarty. He was 28 years old and was both the manager and head chef at the Bonefish Grill. Coincidentally, he was the first person to be interviewed at the diner about Savannah's disappearance, where he told investigators that he hadn't seen her in about 3 weeks and knew nothing of her current whereabouts. It was only from his co-workers that police discovered he was having an on and off relationship with Savannah for the last 8 months, despite it being against company policy. From what investigators could gather, this was a very popular individual, rising fast through the ranks of his chosen profession. He was known for his charm and charisma amongst his colleagues, and also had a lot of success when it came to the opposite sex. On all accounts, his life seemed to be going very well, but he was now a prime suspect in a kidnapping investigation, and the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office planned their next steps in meticulous detail. At around 5:15 p.m. on August 5th, police arrested Rodarty while midway through his shift at work. They told him it was for an outstanding traffic warrant and took him to the JSO Police Department.
Will you do me a favor? I'm going to have you take that apron off, too, just to kind of get it right there. I'll set it right out here. You can go ahead and have a seat for me real quick. I'll be right back, okay? Yes, sir.
Damn, this shit is fucked up, man.
The officer said he would be right back, yet Lee was left to sit there for 90 minutes with nothing but his own thoughts to keep him company. Now, think of yourself in his position, and presume you were guilty of whatever happened to Savannah, and that whatever happened was something truly horrific. In the present moment, you have just been arrested for an outstanding traffic warrant, yet you were interviewed the day before about your co-worker's disappearance. 1,000,001 things will be running through your mind about what could happen next, and as each second ticks by, the anxiety this will cause will begin to fester and slowly intensify. However, the optimism of uncertainty would still be present. There would still be hope, but this hope is about to be dashed. The sound of the door opening would have been a pleasant relief from the monotonous cycle of Rodarty's own thoughts, yet this brief moment of alleviation would have instantly converted to shock as Detective Ray Reeves walked through the door, the same investigator who had interviewed him about Savannah the day prior.
Hey, good. You remember me from the other day, Detective Reeves? Okay.
It would have been at this moment that Lee realized his situation was far more severe than he was hoping. The relative optimism he would have felt during the initial 90 minutes on his own will now be gone, which in turn will greatly magnify the contrasting sense of fear he will now be experiencing.
This is my partner, Detective Staley. She was interviewing some of the other folks, waiters and other staff people the other day, so she didn't get a chance to come in at the time. I wanted to talk to you, or actually we wanted to. You want some more water?
Please. Actually, would it be all right to use the restroom one more time?
Yeah. Come on. You bet. I'll walk out there. You want some water?
Please.
Yeah.
Oh man. Esta malta interrogadora é muito fucked up, meu, também. Oh
Like I
shit.
said, I want to kind of go over some stuff. I know we talked the other day just for a few minutes and had some concerns about a couple things. And, oh, okay. Well, there we go. Somebody else wants to talk. There we go.
Curti uns subtitles.
Savannah. So I just had a couple of things that came up that I wanted to ask you about specifically that didn't seem to line up. So I wanted to
Yes, sir.
come down and talk to you. Okay?
Yeah.
All right. Have you drank any alcohol today? Any drugs today?
I took an Adderall that my buddy gave me
Okay.
because I was there so late last night. I
Yeah,
came
yeah.
in and was super tired. Like, here, take this.
Okay. Adderall.
Yeah.
And do you normally take that?
Nah, I've taken one a long time ago, like,
Okay.
I wouldn't say high school, a little bit after high school, but it's been years.
Okay. Yeah. Perfect. I appreciate that. All right. So, Savannah, you said that you knew her and you guys had, you knew her from work. I mean, just kind of fill me in with that. How long have you known her?
Like I said,
The detective starts off with an open-ended question. This gives the suspect total freedom and flexibility in how they wish to respond. It's commonly believed that people with nothing to hide are likely to give a short and concise response to these types of questions. For example, if Lee was completely unconcerned with what was going on, he could respond in 3 short sentences. I met her from work. I've known her for 2 years. We dated for a bit. To the contrary, if an individual does have something to hide, they are more likely to give a lengthy and detailed response.
likely.
The simple reasoning behind this is that they are seeking approval. Imagine yourself in a job interview and you're asked an open-ended question, such as, "Tell me about yourself." You would feel the need to be thorough in order to please your potential employer. The psychological premise is exactly the same with regard to police interrogations, albeit under completely different circumstances. Guilty subjects will see the interrogator as an imminent threat, and will therefore attempt to appease this threat to prevent
Oh, shit.
further aggression. Truthful subjects will have no fear nor concern with regard to the same element. They would see the interrogator as a mere inconvenience as opposed to a threat.
I've known her obviously since she started working there. I would say probably about 8 months ago
Yeah.
or so, we started hanging out outside of work. And at the time, I had a girlfriend. But kind of, we kind of connected, me and Savannah. So we hung out a little bit here and there. Got pretty close. We come from, I guess,
Yo, Starship
somewhat
Storage
similar,
Augmentation mais?
um,
Holy shit.
backgrounds, I guess you should say.
Okay.
She didn't have it the best growing up, neither did I. So we kind of connected, hung out for a little while, and then she started using drugs a lot.
Okay.
Now,
What a bitch.
I used them with her, not the same drugs that she used all the time, but I did them with her.
Damn, telling the
couple
truth?
times, and then she started to get heavy into them, and
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
so I kind of just tried to take a step back and, put things off. Probably a month or so ago, I saw Savannah at work, and she looked healthy again. She gained a little bit of weight, and
Bitch.
just, friendly talk at work, telling her, hope everything's been good. And she told me, that I guess she did a lot of drugs and ended up in the hospital. She ended up missing, I want to say a couple of days, 3 or 4 days from work.
Oh, okay.
So obviously,
Who asked?
me being pretty close to her, I was concerned.
Acho que ele perguntava tipo, hey,
But after
you
she came
capping?
back, she looked good. And she ended up telling me that, I guess, over those 4 days, she detoxed pretty well. And
Seems like you'd be
she
capping.
kind of caught a, new sense into
Uh-oh.
why she shouldn't do drugs
Good for her.
so much.
Okay.
And like I said, she looked good. She started looking healthy. So we kind of were talking, here and there. We hung out a couple times. She came over to the house, and we just kicked back, drink a couple beers, watch movies, stuff like that. Like I said, we did, we took like some pain pills here and there on occasion, but then she started like bringing heroin over and stuff like that. And that's, you know, my mom was addicted to methamphetamines when she was, when I was younger, so those hard drugs just kind of scare me a little bit. So that's why I took a step back the first time.
Responsável em 5 minutos. Quase.
For one, I'm dealing with a lot of personal stuff myself right now as it is. You know, I'm a little depressed. But I think we're moving too fast. I think we should, you know, stop talking. And she said, I understand, it's completely fine, no problem, you know. She said, I'll delete your number, I'll never text you again. And that was the last time that we text. It was probably 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay.
Sometime in July.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's one of the things you said was that was the last time that you had contact with her, as far as, I don't want to put words in your mouth, so I mean, you correct me.
That was the last time that I texted her.
Yeah, text or a phone call or a messenger or anything like that. 2 to 3 weeks ago. Yeah. And then the last time, when was the last time you saw her?
This is what I was a bit. I didn't tell you the truth when we talked up on fish.
Okay.
Lee doesn't know the extent of the evidence, but he knows the investigators have something, and he now has no choice but to amend his alibi to some degree and give some form of admission. This allows the investigators to get one step closer to a confession, while also keeping the capacity of the evidence hidden until a more critical moment.
Last time I saw her was Wednesday afternoon.
Okay.
I heard that she has been basically telling a lot of people at work that we hooked up a bunch, like a couple days before that, and that she was going to like tell about the whole situation.
I can't believe she would do that.
Fired and
Why would that get you fired?
I'm a manager and she's an employee. So
okay, so you guys aren't supposed to fraternize?
Yeah.
Okay, I got you.
And she just told people, I guess, that she was out with that work at the restaurant that we were having sex.
Okay.
What the
I pulled in the parking
bitch?
lot. She pulled in.
Hashtag
pulled
tudo
after
puta.
me. I parked. And I
O
said,
texto
hey,
tem razão.
can I talk to you for a second?
I'm joking.
And
I'm
she said,
joking.
yeah, what's up? And I was like, I heard you've been saying some things about me and you continuing to hang out, and you know that we're boyfriend and girlfriend. And she asked me, she said,
Odeio
can I come
machismo.
sit in the car? Because I just did some heroin and
E eu, queres melhor?
Heroin doesn't make you feel
Quando o
paranoid.
pessoal corrige
It makes
diz,
you extremely relaxed
feminismo.
and oblivious to
Não,
your
não.
surroundings. Some might argue that heroin
Egalitarismo.
can cause paranoia
Isso sim.
depending on the user. Yet Savannah was driving moments earlier and was about to start a shift at work. If she was using, she most certainly wasn't the type to get paranoid.
Okay.
I said, why are you doing that? You know, you're doing really well. You shouldn't have been doing that.
Okay.
And so she came and sat in the car, and I explained to her the situation. I told her that servers at Bonefish were coming to me and telling me that you're telling people when you're out that we're still having sex and we're boyfriend and girlfriend. And I said, I would appreciate, you know, I need you to stop, because for one, it's jeopardizing my job. We agreed to, you know, stop talking mutually and just move on and, you know, be cordial or whatever.
Pois, mas ó Life, ele não é
There
muito
was nothing
smart,
more than that.
claramente.
She said, fuck you, you know, you're a piece of shit. And I said, she said she's going to keep talking, you know, telling lies and stuff about me and everything like that. And at that point,
Lee has just tried to cover his tracks as much as possible without
Odeio
giving
mulheres
away
caucasianas
anything
que usam palavras
incriminating. He may
inventadas
have
como
thought a witness saw him at the
igualita.
scene with Savannah and was most likely hoping the verbal
Olha aí.
argument was the extent of what was seen. He therefore
Mas-
gives away this detail in an attempt
Qual é
to come
que é-
across as truthful. Yet as we know,
Qual é que é a
the
palavra
investigators
oficial?
have proof that Savannah never got out of the car, and he's about to lock himself into his second lie, which is exactly what the detectives want.
she had her phone in her hand. She got out of the car and walked towards the main entrance from San Jose.
So like if
So this is
like
I wouldn't say she was walking along the edge of the plaza, but she was walking
Sim, é o
towards this way.
bait costuma ser
And
esse.
I would say an older model Ford pickup.
Apreender alguém por
green,
uma razão completamente.
drove past me and around
Nem
And she
apreender,
got
é
it.
só tipo, hey,
The suspect
just-
has now
we just
thrown away
talking?
his best possible
friends,
defense,
we're friends,
which would
we
have
all
been that
friends
he
here.
drove away from the parking lot with Savannah, and that she got out at another destination where they then
By
parted
the
ways.
way, did you
If he
kill
had
that
known about
bitch?
the surveillance footage, this would have no doubt been his revised narrative, but it's no longer possible due to this fabrication. This is now his stated alibi under caution, and any amendments that he might try to make at a later stage will have no credibility whatsoever.
So she gets out of the back seat and begins walking in the direction of, not necessarily paralleling San Jose, but she's walking towards 295 or down towards that entrance area.
Yeah.
And then she's got her phone, and you
Acho
said
que ele foi
you thought she
detido por
was
qualquer
calling
coisa
somebody.
The
traffic
detective
something.
knows this alibi is
Já me
completely
esqueci.
fabricated, so you might be wondering why he's inquiring into it further. The truth is that he's not actually inquiring, only pretending to. The suspect's responses to these questions are of no importance, and the detective is not information gathering. He's simply getting the suspect to let his guard down as much as possible by making him think that he is being believed. As the suspect continues to convey this
Eu acho que
made-up
pareceu-me que foi
narrative,
algo
his
do género,
anxiety
sim.
will slowly diminish. His belief that he is fooling the detectives will increase, and his heightened state of mind will decrease as a
Deve ter
result.
sido uma desculpa
This is a
qualquer.
well-known
Devem ter
strategy, and the
posto
reason
alguém a
for
andar
this
atrás dele
strategy
até ele
is
fazer uma
because the
cena
detective
minor.
is about to initiate the first
Estás a ver? E
confrontation.
depois
He wants
tipo,
to
hey,
catch the
we need
suspect
to,
completely
you need
off
to come
guard.
with us.
She had it in her hand and it looked like, I mean, I couldn't tell if she was texting or
Sure.
not or anything.
But she had her phone out.
Yeah, she had her phone out and was looking at it, and then it looked like she was going to put it up to her ear, and then
Yeah.
the green truck came around,
Okay.
and she
How long
got
do
it.
you think it was between the time that she got out and started using her phone till that green truck pulled up?
This goes on for roughly 90 seconds, and Rodarty appears to be considerably more at ease.
295 all the way to Beach Boulevard to Grove Park, and then Grove Park.
How long does that usually take you?
Mm,
Depending on traffic, obviously.
the trap, I think it usually takes me about 25 minutes or so.
What happened to your neck?
We see a very sharp and very sudden switch. The suspect is taken from feeling assured to once again feeling threatened. It's believed that when the immediate shift from one emotion
nessa
to the
altura
next
devias
is
ter
so
para aí
extreme,
3
a
anos também,
suspect
não?
can become disoriented, and their ability to think critically can be affected. In other words, it's much harder for them to think up lies on the spot or fabricate emotion in a convincing manner.
That was self-inflicted, actually.
After a long, nervous breath, he takes 3 seconds to respond, yet somewhat saves himself with the answer. The fact he stated his injuries were self-inflicted could give reason for the nervous breath and his hesitation to respond, as self-harm is a taboo subject, and some might be embarrassed or even ashamed to admit to it. The detective recognizes this and immediately puts him back on the spot.
Why?
I just have been having kind of a hard time.
You're not?
I couldn't.
The first interjection from the female detective. She alludes to the fact that the neck is an unusual place for a self-inflicted injury, essentially stating that she's not buying it, but also refrains from applying too much pressure, which is being saved for a more pivotal moment at a later stage.
Yeah, I did. And
Vocês estão a assustar, meu.
a knife.
Quer dizer, o Vitaco está a brincar e o Aleph está tipo
Some
um,
time in
a
July.
responder seriamente.
You did that in July, and it's still
Yeah.
bloody?
Well, I kind of peeled the scab here and
Yeah,
there.
ninguém
at
te
work,
pode forçar a dizer nada,
stuff
não é?
like that. I peeled it last night working.
Probably not the best advertisement for the Bonefish Grill if their head chefs are peeling their scabs off at work. But then again, the wounds are more than likely a fresh injury from his struggle with Savannah, and they hadn't been peeled off at all.
Searching for trading negotiations.
Okay.
All right, let me see.
But this and this was the same night. This one was just a lot worse
Yeah.
than this one was.
Okay. And that was in July?
Yeah.
Okay. Like a few weeks back.
Yeah.
Okay. When she's in the car, what does she say to you about what her plans are? So she's scheduled to work that night.
Mhm.
So she's going to work?
She didn't talk about. I mean, I assumed she was going to work.
Mm-hmm.
She was in her uniform, but she didn't say. When she got out the car, she didn't say anything after she got out of the car.
They further reinforce his confidence by going back to his narrative of the truck and allow him to convey the story in more meticulous detail. They are once again giving him a false sense of security, only to use it against him at the opportune moment.
and she gets in that truck. Let's be honest, we won't even call her she, Savannah. Okay? Savannah, again with this picture, if we're using it in the same place, from where your drawing was, they drove over here. You're here, and they drive out over here. Do they stop? Does she get out and go into work? Does the truck keep going?
I didn't see once they turned the corner past the ATM.
Mm-hmm.
Once she got in and they left, I left because I just.
Did you run into them on the road anywhere?
No.
Okay. Did she call you later on or text you later on?
Savannah? No.
Mm-hmm. No other contact with her?
No.
So where's Savannah right now?
I don't know.
Where would I find her?
I don't know.
This is a far more aggressive confrontation. It's essentially
True.
an accusation that the suspect is involved in Savannah's disappearance. Innocent subjects will usually reciprocate this aggression and respond to this type of question with a question of their own, such as, "Why are you asking me that?" Or, "What are you trying to say?" They would openly recognize and refute the allegation, most often in a forceful manner. Lee had no emotional response whatsoever, nor an ounce of shock. He answered the question with a composed demeanor, almost as if he knew it was coming. It lets the detectives know he was anticipating some type of blunt confrontation.
That's my prime objective is to find her.
Porque é que ele neste caso ele não está a cumprir com o direito do interrogado? Porque os americanos são...
Here's a couple reasons I need to find her. One is,
eles nunca vão perguntar se ele
and that's really, I really do,
quer chamar um advogado. Eles vão sacar o máximo dele se ele não disser nada. Se ele não dizer nada. Se ele no início tivesse pedido um advogado, eles ficavam tipo, fuck, whatever.
I think they need some closure.
Fica para mais tarde, então.
The reality is if somebody's dead somewhere.
Eles estão basicamente a aproveitar o facto de não ter pedido um advogado.
Okay, so one day when you have kids, the uncertainty is whatever kind of a person she is, and I'm not about to say what kind of a person she is, because I'm not making any judgments. I'm saying that this human being is, if she's alive,
fuck, this guy's good.
I want to find
This
her.
guy got
I need
hands.
to make sure she's okay, because several days now she hasn't been around.
You have a right to a lawyer. Eu não os vi a ler isso, nem vi os gajos a mencionarem que ele disse isso, mas devem ter feito isso.
But the other thing is, if she's not, this family deserves better than this. This family deserves better than somebody who works with her and who's got knowledge and won't tell the police because.
A única coisa que eles disseram foi, o gajo chegou e eles disseram, quero só continuar a... Quero fazer-lhe uma pergunta sobre uma coisa que lhe perguntei ontem. Tipo no café ou whatever.
Where is Savannah? I don't know. I need to know where Savannah
is. E ele, ok, e depois começou esta entrevista.
You don't know.
Essa cena dos direitos, não me parece que eles não falaram nada disso.
I don't know. Tell me something. What can I work with?
I told you the last time I saw her.
But that's not true because we have proof.
This moment would have been rehearsed multiple times before the interrogation started. The investigators would have planned who would reveal the surveillance to the suspect, and at roughly what moment. The suspect had been confronted multiple times, and the situation was now fully transparent, yet he continued to maintain his innocence by clinging on to his narrative. It becomes evident that he isn't going to budge, so the female detective takes the initiative. She reveals their final and most substantial piece of evidence for the purpose of maximizing the pressure.
We have proof. And that's why we're sitting here, Lee. At this point, we need this for her. I mean, I look at that little girl and I think of my little girl. My little girl who's her age. That's who I think about. That was my little girl. I couldn't imagine. I don't care what she said about you or whatever, but my little girl is that age.
Maybe.
And you're not telling the truth.
Maybe something gets out of hand in the car.
I didn't do anything.
Okay, you didn't do anything, but she was in your car. She never got out of your car. She never got out of your car. Lee?
We're not saying that you did anything. I'm trying to find her. I didn't say you did anything.
I don't know where she is.
Well, we can prove that you left with her in the car. So please, do everybody a favor and just tell us.
Where is she? You got to be able to separate. We're not sitting here saying you did anything to her. I don't know. She's on drugs. Maybe she passed out. I don't know. I'm not in that car with you guys. I know that she's in that car with you. I have proof of all of this.
Okay, let me ask you, Lee. Then tell us now if you're being an honest man. Are you being honest?
Yes.
Okay, let's start being honest. She never got out of your back seat, Lee. She never got out of your back seat. Video cameras don't lie.
Lee.
How do you know? How do you think I know this information?
Yo, video
Lee?
cameras
I
can
wasn't
lie. Come
there,
on, man.
But a video camera caught it.
Tell me what happened.
I don't know.
What happened to her? Was it an overdose? Is that what happened? I don't know. I'm not in the car with you guys. You just said she was in your car and she had admittedly had done heroin.
This is a cross between the how and why solution and the alternative question. Both are used to lower the gauge of admission for the purpose of getting one foot in the door, which will then become the new foundation for building the case. The how and why solution essentially blames the victim, while at the same time minimizes the motivations behind the crime. The alternative question plants a seed in the suspect's mind, where they are given an alternative and far more morally accepting choice for what happened. It's a smart move, yet the suspect doesn't fall for it on this occasion.
Bodies overdose all the time. Is that what happens? Does she overdose?
Okay, well, tell us when you left with her in the car, because that is what is shown. We can't make up that. We can't falsify a video camera, Lee. I'm not lying to you, because you know I'm telling the truth, because you know that's what's on the video. How else would I know that? I don't, unless I have the video. Where did you go with her?
I didn't go anywhere with her.
You did.
No.
You did. So the video camera's lying?
I don't know this. I mean,
Well, I'm telling you.
The surveillance footage was no doubt incriminating evidence, yet wouldn't close out a case on its own that easily. The investigators need a confession and continue to apply pressure in a relentless manner. They attack the suspect's character while simultaneously appealing to his sense of morality.
I'm telling you, I'm not lying to you. I'm not making that up. That's why I'm so passionate about this. This is someone's child. You
Sim,
might not have
eu acho que ele
kids,
pode
but
não dizer
damn it,
nada,
this
pedir a
is someone's
prova,
kid.
pedir
We're
advogado.
fact-finders, Lee. I don't have anything personal against you.
No, not at all. I mean, it's
We're
over.
just fact-finders.
Tell us
We're
what
just
happened.
doing
Where
our
is she?
job.
It's over.
No. Where did you go with her?
Oh shit.
Where did you go with her, Lee? Be human. You're a human. You're a man. Where did you go with her? I know you're not that cruel inside. Seriously. Where did you go with her?
Maybe you
Please.
maybe you don't know where she is now. Where did you go with her?
Please. I'm begging you, Lee. Please. Please tell us. Please don't make us waste any more of our time. Just tell us. Please tell us. Please. I'm begging you. I know you're not evil. Just tell us where she is. I'm begging you. Please. Please. Can you please just tell me? Where did you go with her then? Can you
At least tell us that.
at least tell us that part? Where did you go with her afterwards? She didn't get out of your car, and you know that obviously, because I
and
know
we do
that.
too. That's why we were here. Just tell us where. Where did you go?
O teatro está pouco. É?
Tell us that.
Estavas à espera de Mas este gajo não é propriamente
I
um.
owe her family.
Como é que eu ia dizer?
No one's, we're not
Um
saying
Hannibal
anything
Lecter,
that you
meu.
intentionally did anything. Just tell us where you went.
Ele é mais um random
I
guy.
went down there. You went down
É um,
Clear
essa é
Lane,
do
left,
GTA San Andreas.
Can you get up on 295? Okay. Where else did you go before you went home? I mean, I know you eventually went home,
I
but...
didn't go anywhere. I went straight home.
Okay, so what did y'all do when you got home? Savannah was with you. She was with you.
Mas chorava tanto.
And it's okay at that point, but I need to know
What is she saying, dude?
Is she still at your house?
No.
Okay. Is she still in your car?
No.
Okay. Well, then where is she?
I don't know where she is.
Okay, then where did you last drop her off at?
Vitago hurt you.
I didn't drop her off.
Okay, well, then tell me.
Where did you have to go?
We went to my house.
This is a breakthrough. The investigators have got Lee to amend his story once more by lowering the level of admission, and this shows that he can still be influenced. As stated earlier, they were trying to get one foot in the door, which they have now done, and this is their new platform to build on the more damnatory elements.
We did some drugs.
Okay.
hung out for a little, and then she said she was gonna catch it and go home.
As crianças é que choram.
What was going on
I
in the
didn't do
backseat?
anything to
What was going on in the backseat?
Ai, 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 ai.
She kicked open that door 3 times, Lee. She kicked it. We saw it. Where's Savannah?
I don't know.
You do know. Lee, we understand. Listen, we understand.
We're not trying to hinge you up on anything, man. I'm telling you, I'm thinking about this girl and her family. And your family.
She was. Sorry.
Please tell me where to go find her. That's how people remember you.
Só foi preciso uma hora?
The released footage of the interrogation tape cuts off at this exact moment. The state's attorney has been contacted by multiple sources to release the next segment, but has so far refused to do so. All we know is that Lee Rodarty admitted to killing Savannah Gold. The only information that is currently released is that he proclaimed to have killed Savannah by breaking her neck. He then took her back to his house where he burned her body in a self-made fire pit and then dumped her in a lake at the dead end of a secluded road. Savannah had injuries to over 75%
Bro,
of
what
her
the
body.
fuck?
The medical examiner was unable to pinpoint the exact cause of death. The only conclusion was that it was a violent homicide. The segment of admission was cut, yet the JSO released the footage that came just moments after. It shows a human being experiencing an emotional reckoning so overwhelming, while also trying to process the terrifying nature of his immediate situation.
Jesus.
Idiot, Lee. Fucking stupid. You here?
Just to suffer.
The instant anguish over his decision to confess, combined with the looming prospect of what lays ahead, will have forged a unique emotional distress that very few will ever experience.
Pode não ter
It's a
sido de
harrowing
propósito.
sight, and under different circumstances would be extremely difficult for most people to witness. Yet we are now couched within the context of events that led up to this moment, and this will make its observation far more tolerable, but by no means easy.
Wait, what observation?
It's so stupid. Oh, fucking fucking.
Isto é super nerve-wracking. Xiça. Agora estou eu com vontade de confessar um crime. Qualquer, um qualquer. Só vamos deixar em paz.
killed in jail. Shit. I'm nice to you. For somebody who was a bitch to you. Does that make any sense? It's time to get to wear a chef coat.
Bruh.
I'm not supposed to be you. This is not supposed to be you, Lee. It's supposed to make something of your fucking life. Everything. Going places, man. Your fucking head. Could've told you no.
Lee was remanded into custody and taken to the Duval County Jail where he was denied bond. In spite of the overwhelming evidence against him and the prospect of life in prison without the possibility of parole, he pled not guilty and claimed that Savannah's killing was an act of self-defense, even though he stands at 5'11", weighing 163 pounds, while Savannah was just 5 feet tall and weighed 91 pounds. He claimed that he was in fear of his life after she slapped him multiple times in the face, at which point he grabbed her neck, felt a pop, and realized he had accidentally broke it, resulting in her death. The state's attorney's office had no comment on this motion. All they have stated is that this trial is expected to commence during the summer of 2020.
Bro, what? I guess he got a lawyer. I guess he fucking got a lawyer. Wait. Sim, isto é claramente um... É claramente um... Bro, vais dizer isto, ok? Tá aqui, olha. Just so everybody knows, this guy was sentenced to 40 years about 2 weeks ago. 40 years. Mas eu não sei qual é o estado deste gajo. Não sei em que estado é que ele vive. Seja como for, 40 anos. Could be eligible for parole. Damn. Este... o comentário é do... Eu tenho um ano. Sorry. não tinha dito tudo. E não há nenhum comentário mais recente, acho eu. Nas respostas, pelo menos. Tinha que ver ao lado. Jesus! Esta thread... 220 respostas. Esta thread não acaba bem. Que idade é que ele tem? Também tem 20 e tal, não é? Two months ago. Holy shit. Anyway, that's good enough. Hã? Ou seja, ele desde que a interrogação saiu e o comment dele andou livre. Estas coisas não se fazem. Depende da gravidade da coisa, tu ficas preso preventivamente, não é? Acho que eles veem o risco de tu fugires e etc, etc. Ei, eu já vi este. Man, há um... Isto é fucked up. Há um em que é uma... A pessoa culpada era uma ex-detetive, meu. E as caras que ela faz quando está a ser interrogada, foda-se. Bruh. Foi muito bruh. Eles vêm fazer um... Where Are They Now? Certo? Que era para vermos o que aconteceu a este gajo, não é? Oficialmente. Não só num comment. E também vi este, Jennifer Solution. Este é um bocado... Também é fucked up, meu. Era tipo, ai, os meus pais nunca me deixavam fazer o que queria, então arranja maneira de os matar. Foi assim uma cena mesmo fucked up da cabeça. Olha, vou meter mais um.
When forensic health professionals evaluate stalking, 4 essential items are taken into consideration.
Jesus.
The nature of the relationship between the stalker and the victim, the stalker's motivations, the psychological, psychopathological, and social realities of the stalker, and the psychological and social vulnerabilities of the victim.
Bruh.
The subject of this episode is
Look at
25-year-old
this guy.
Stephen McDaniel, and to gain a deeper understanding of the foregoing components, we have to extract certain elements through the knowledge of hindsight. The evolution of technology over the past 2 decades has made forensic investigations considerably more efficient. 2 of the items on this list can now be examined through a single component, which would otherwise take forensics weeks or even months to conduct in a previous era. And that component is the internet, or more specifically, internet search history. The disclosure of web browser data is often a crucial piece of evidence for building a case, as it can unveil many aspects of a suspect's personality that would otherwise be kept hidden. And this is sometimes far more effective than anything else presented in court, including information extracted during a full confession. Without going into specific detail, a large majority of the subject's time was spent watching porn that surrounded the theme of violence and torture. He would also conduct back-to-back searches of how to commit sexual assault, and would type in several variations of the phrase, how to molest sleeping girl. To forensics,
Jesus.
this is an overt sign of desensitization to sexual activity.
É por isso que,
Excessive
olha,
exposure
estás
to
a ver?
online pornography can have this effect.
Ouve, é por causa disto que eu pelo simples não, há pesquisas que nunca faço, meu. Independentemente das minhas intenções. Vocês nunca pensaram nisso? Eu penso nisso. Certo? Bruh. Tipo, pesquisas que nunca faço nem a brincar, como quem diz. I know I'm being watched. You know? That's fucking fucked up. Vivemos mesmo numa sociedade, meu fogo. Pesquisas tudo e nada te espanta, ok. Mas uma coisa é acabar por encontrar coisas, tipo, imagina, estás no 4 chão, assim, e acaba por aparecer threads aleatórias, ou whatever. Isso não és propriamente tu a meter pesquisas no Google. Não podem fazer nada. That's not the point, man. A cena é... who knows? Olha este gajo. Olha este gajo. How to molest girl? Foda. How to molest sleeping girl? What the fuck, bruh? Jesus. Se procurasse o termo na net, eras flagged, yeah, pois.
Effect over time. It can build up a tolerance to the traditional idea of sex. Therefore, the subject may continue a more potent form of stimuli to get the same rush. For Stephen McDaniel, this began with watching abstract material on the internet and eventually led him to planning and then carrying out what he saw on screen. His target was 24-year-old Lauren Giddings, his next-door neighbor of 3 years. And this takes us to item 4 of the forensic checklist. With respect to social vulnerabilities, the victim essentially had none. Lauren was outgoing and extremely popular. She was a well-liked member of her community and had a strong social support system. With relation to psychological vulnerabilities, the term perceptual naivety would potentially come to light during a forensic investigation. Stephen had asked her out on a date within 6 months of their acquaintance, which was reportedly only the second time they had ever spoke.
Look at his face, bro.
Lauren declined, but stated she would like to remain friends, which was only her being courteous and trying to soften the blow of rejection. She would later tell her actual friends that Stephen made her feel extremely uneasy and was uncomfortable to be around. It may have seemed like a non-essential observation at the time, but in hindsight, it appears that her instinctive senses were trying to tell her something. Lauren had told her friends multiple times that she felt someone had been inside her apartment, and she also started getting an eerie vibe when she came back alone, especially late at night. It was as though she could sense something wasn't right, and she...
Nunca ouviste falar da velha máxima, que é tipo, se não precisas saber, não precisas procurar o knowledge, é só perder tempo? Ele devia ter sido preso só pela cara, oh, tadinho.
Even thought about moving multiple times, but unfortunately never went through with it. The reality was that Stephen McDaniel had stolen a master's key from a security guard and let himself into her apartment and looked around on several occasions. He also started filming her when she would leave and return to her apartment during all hours of the day. Had Lauren been in this situation before, or even knew anyone that had, she may have trusted her intuition and unknowingly saved herself from a tragic fate. But that's the key word: trust. She had no proof of the danger she was in, only conviction, which unfortunately wasn't strong enough when it was most needed.
Uf. Por acaso também pensei nisso, Vitor. Depois pensei, peraí, se eu me corrigir a mim próprio, vai parecer um bocado sus. Estou a ficar paranoico.
She was sleeping inside. As he crept into her bedroom, she awoke and immediately panicked once she saw the intruder. McDaniel then pounced on top of her and proceeded to strangle her for roughly 15 minutes. Lauren put up a courageous fight and clawed at her attacker's face and chest, but she was eventually overpowered and died of asphyxiation. After the murder, Stephen dismembered Lauren's body in the bathtub with a hacksaw. He cut his victim into 5 pieces, placed each piece in a trash bag, and then disposed of each of them in separate trash cans around campus. 3 days later, Lauren's concerned friends would arrive at her apartment and let themselves in with a spare key. McDaniel would notice from his window and invited himself inside as he offered to help. All of her belongings were still inside, including her cell phone, driver's license, and passport. A missing persons report was filed that night. A search party commenced the next morning, and police would discover the victim's torso at 9:40 a.m. It was placed in a trash can next to the apartment complex. The rest of the victim's remains were never recovered. The investigation was then switched from a missing person to murder. Police canvassed the surrounding area and began conducting interviews with neighbors and classmates, one of whom was Stephen McDaniel. But he was first interviewed by the local news, and at the time was unaware that part of the victim's remains had been discovered.
we're just trying to find out where she is at this point. I mean, no one has seen her since Saturday.
McDaniel reacts.
I mean, the last time anyone heard from her was an email that she sent out, and I mean, no one's heard from her since.
What kind of person was she? I mean, what did you see?
I mean, she's as nice as can be. I mean, very personable, very much a people person.
Do you know anybody any enemies she might have had, somebody that might want to hurt her?
No, we just don't know where she is.
What about in the parking lot area? I know they've been doing a lot of. I think that's where they have recovered the body or whatever they recovered from there.
Body?
Had you heard? Had you seen anything there? Had you seen anything there? I mean, we don't know if this is the same
Oi,
person.
olha o gajo a bloquear.
They took out a body there earlier. We don't know if it's the same person or not. So that's why we're trying to ask people if they know who lived there. Are you okay, sir?
Eu tento falar com colegas e
I
assim.
think I need to sit down.
Okay.
Ei, viste o gajo? Bloqueou-se tudo.
This
Jesus.
is most likely a genuine reaction disguised as another. He is most likely feeling a sense of fear and shock over the fact a substantial piece of evidence has been discovered. Yet he plays it off as a feeling of sorrow over the loss of his supposed friend.
I don't know anyone that would want to hurt her. She was as nice a person as there is.
Was she moving soon? Did you know anything about her?
Yeah. She was going to be moving out today. Why would anyone do this? Maybe I could have helped. I mean, they went
Eu gosto de falar com
in,
colegas,
looked
gosto de falar com os
around the
chats da
place.
stream.
No sign of a struggle, no sign that anyone had broken in. Just
Quem é que ia
nothing.
reportar?
He was
Epá, no
interviewed
meu
by
caso, eu
police
acho
at
que ninguém ia reparar,
11:50
meu.
a.m. and offered to help in any way he could, yet came across as fidgety and
Eu acho que só iam
apprehensive the
reparar
entire
pelo
time.
trabalho.
There were two
Era a
highlighted
única
moments
coisa.
of the interview. The first was when
Nós temos
Stephen
daily-
asserted that he was
nós
a
temos daily
virgin,
meetings.
saving himself for marriage. The second was when the detective discovered scratch marks on his face and stomach, which he asserted were done by himself in his
Fora
sleep.
disso.
He at that point unknowingly became the prime suspect and was asked if police could search his apartment. Stephen reluctantly accepted and was then transported back to the complex with 4 other investigators. While searching his apartment, they discovered a collection of swords, guns, toilet
pessoas
rolls,
contactam contigo
stockpiled
diariamente.
provisions as if he was expecting an apocalyptic
Not
event,
really.
and a mask made out of women's underwear. The most significant discovery, however, was a pack of condoms. Stephen was asked why he would have such an item in his
pensavam que eu
possession
não tinha
if he
tomado
was
banho
staying celibate
durante
before
semanas.
marriage, at which point he
Para mim não precisam
miraculously
de pensar,
confessed to
meu.
stealing them from
Já não
another
estão.
apartment. This gave the
Apesar de
detectives
não já se
probable
mexe, é
cause for
estranho, meu.
arrest, and Stephen was placed in handcuffs and brought
Funny how
back to the
things
police
work.
station. His interrogation began just after 11
Ei,
p.m.
onde é que está o meu? Ei, olha como é que ele está sentado, meu.
All right. I just gotta ask you a few questions. You came down earlier tonight, me and you talked, all right. You don't have any weapons on you, do you?
Por que ele está sentado com os braços para baixo?
You don't
It's
detect
fucking
patterns,
disturbing, dude.
Do you remember? Put your hands up here. You remember us talking earlier tonight, right? You remember me earlier in the day?
Jim
Came
off
down here and talked a
NPC,
little
oh my
bit and then
god.
left.
The monotone dialogue and lifeless demeanor you see
Opa.
here reportedly started on the drive back to the police station, and the suspect's conduct throughout the entire procedure is not only mystifying, but almost impressive. This is one of the most extraordinary pieces of interrogation footage to ever reach the public domain.
What?
I need to
Como
know
assim? Quer dizer que eu tenho... é melhor estar
about this
atento?
girl right here. You know her?
Yes.
Who is that?
Yes.
Does she live next door to you?
Yes.
When's the last time you seen her?
2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay. Was you friends with Lauren?
Yes.
Look at me when you talk to me, son. Okay?
The suspect has morphed himself into this abnormal and extremely creepy character. Whether it's a strategy or some sort of mental breakdown is unclear. But what's incredible is that it somewhat dictates the pace of the interrogation. The detective has just closed the distance and commanded eye contact, both of which are recognized techniques to increase psychological pressure. Yet the absurdly haunting manner in which the suspect turns his head and fixes his gaze unnerves the detective to the point where he becomes the one to look away and reset his posture. This essentially
crazy.
never happens in interrogations, as it can give the suspect an incredible boost in confidence.
Look at me when you talk to me, son. Okay?
Was you friends with him?
Dude, that's insane.
Friends?
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Y'all were friends, right? Both of y'all were law students. You're studying to be an attorney, right?
Yes.
What kind of law do you want to go into? Criminal law?
Yes.
Civil? Is that what you want to do for a living?
Yes.
Okay.
The detective steps back from his initially aggressive strategy. He asks trivial questions for 35 seconds before attempting to ramp up the pressure in a more subtle manner.
And you've lived next to Lauren for a long time?
Yes.
Do you know where she's at tonight?
No.
Hmm?
No.
Have you ever
You
seen
know
her
where
with that
she
dress on?
is? Did you kill her?
You have no idea where she's at?
Eles têm alguma prova at this point? Ou não têm nada?
Yes.
Não estava atento. Olha para ele!
Just tell me
Dude,
what
that's
happened,
fucking
bro.
insane.
Well, where's she
Bro,
at?
he's staring.
I need you. I'm asking you for your help. I'm a detective. I'm asking you for your help.
O gajo tem razão. Esta merda é completamente insane. É tipo, esta interview.
I don't know what you need.
I need to know what
Mas para, digam-me só uma coisa vocês. O que é que eles sabem
Do you even care? That
neste ponto? É que eu não estava atento.
Yes.
I don't know, do you?
Yes.
O gajo olha para o... O gajo olha para baixo.
What's up with the pair of underwear that was in your apartment? It was like a mask. It was cut out like a mask. You cut underwear out that look like masks?
No.
Are you a knife collector or a knife person or
No.
you just like knives?
I used to collect swords.
What is he talking about?
I mean, to
Yes.
sell and trade swords?
No.
Is that how Lauren looked? The long hair the last time you seen her?
Yes.
Or she got, that's how she looks?
Yes.
Eu devia escrever.
I mean, earlier today, me and you sit here and talk normal. What's going on with you now? Why are you acting like this? I need to know. Why all of a sudden you're acting like this?
But he's got nothing, right?
I don't understand.
Okay. Earlier today, we sat here and talked. But now you're acting like you don't know what's going on.
You're acting like an insane person.
I mean, did something happen or something to you?
Oh.
I mean, why are you shutting down? Why are you not talking to me?
I don't know.
You don't know? Are you scared?
No.
I mean, you're not scared, are you?
No.
Stephen's demeanor doesn't waver for the first 20 minutes, so the detective eventually takes a more distinctly aggressive approach. He attacks the subject's character to see if it might coax him out of the act and into defending his dignity.
You got your ass on that fucking news and stood out there and gave a media report that her mother saw about her missing daughter. And you want me to sit there and tell them that you don't know? Is that what you want me to tell them? Because you're all over the news. You sure stood out there and ran your mouth to the news media. But now you're going to get out here and you don't fucking know.
And you don't fucking know.
You're just a sorry
You
piece of
asshole.
shit that don't give a fuck. Right?
No.
Well, why'd you tell the media everything? Do you need to see what you told the media today? It was on the 11 o'clock news. Well, I'm asking you. Tell me. I want to know.
I don't know where she is.
That ain't what you told the media.
Hã? Qual é o problema? Queres que eu venda Active Copper?
You didn't stand in front of that camera and say, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Leva já com um stare ao Vitag. Mano, eu tenho que fazer isso. Tipo, saio com alguém, não é? Tipo, bruh, Como é que é? Bora almoçar ou assim? E depois passa o tempo todo a dar ganda stare na pessoa. O que é que achas?
Because her mother saw you on the news tonight.
Active Copper não serve para nada? Tenho ideia que sim. Nem sei.
Because you had the balls to get on the news and tell everybody.
Deve ser por algumas coisas assim raras, não é? Nada normal.
This little act that you're doing right now.
Ah, Active Copper dá para fazer. Como é que se chama?
So you just
Isto.
snap out of it and tell me what the hell
Espera aí, isto é fixe.
we can move on.
Costuma ser usado para muita merda. Isto, Chromatic Metal.
How many times you gonna say I don't know?
Faz isso em miúdo. À janela do Corte Inglês, what?
How many times you gonna say it?
Por acaso, uma vez subi até o último piso, ou assim. Acho que é o último piso. E tenho uma vista gira até. Nem sabia. Tipo, sentas-te lá, comes e
Whether
olhas
it
para a
was
janela.
planned or not, the second detective enters the room with a similar strategy of immediate aggression. Rapport development seems to have been collectively thrown by the wayside.
Pois posso, mas se eu tenho Activated Copper e não serve para mais nada.
When was the last time you shot those guns? You've never shot a gun? Have you ever shot any gun in your whole life? Never.
Why are they asking about guns?
So you bought 3 guns that you've never shot.
Oh,
Wow.
that's why.
For what? For what? I'm asking for what?
For what,
Why
boy?
do you want to have them? What made did they give you? I mean, tell me
What-
why it's
what are you
important for you
doing?
to have 3 guns. That's an easy question. Come on, talk to me, buddy. Me and you talked all day today. We ain't had a problem communicating.
Espera que eu não vou ver já o Neotech para já vejo. Quando vir aviso.
Do you not know?
Olha, eu devo fazer tipo uma quest ou duas. Porquê que eu estou a jogar este jogo outra vez?
You told me earlier you and Lauren were friends, right?
Yeah, we're friends. Sorry,
How would you
it's
describe
Texas
y'all's relationship?
accent, I can't.
She was your friend.
Eu ia olhar para o meu telemóvel para fazer uma
What?
coisa.
Did you ever do things for her? Did she ever do things for you? What did she ever do for you?
Alright,
What
10
y'all
minutes.
talk about?
Long lost knowledge. Ok, vou procurar aqui uma quest.
Okay. How many times have you been in her apartment with her hanging out?
Eu devia cagar naquelas quests todas. O jogo é fã para assassinos. Mas tu. Espera. Estás a tentar dizer alguma coisa, Vitor? O que é que andaste a fazer?
If you had to guess, what was I mean, one
Espera,
time, two
era isso que tu
times,
vias com a
three
tua
times, what?
ex-namorada, que já não está na tua vida? Era isto?
Maybe 2.
Dos,
See, if
dos
I had only
criminals?
been somewhere twice, I could remember that. If I had been there over 50 times and you asked me how many times, I'd be like, I don't know, a lot. But the fact that you've only been there twice, when I say how many times you've been there, you say
E
you
depois
don't
deixaste de
know.
ver estes vídeos
That's just
e deixaste de
odd.
ter uma namorada e começaste a jogar No
Does
Man's
that make
Sky.
sense to you? That does make sense. So what I'm saying right now makes sense.
Já não está na vida de ninguém. Ai ai ai. He's on another system.
Lauren, listen. This pretty little girl right here, your neighbor. She's missing.
She was so
Much like
goddamn
Detective
beautiful.
1, Detective 2 now valiantly moves in for the psychological charge. He closes the distance and locks eye contact. His physical demeanor, alongside a prolonged gaze, will hopefully crack the suspect's fortified barrier. Once broken, the momentum will commence and the suspect will be more likely to divulge incriminating
Uma galera
information.
com cabelo
All the
vermelho que não
detective has to
pertence à vida de
do is
ninguém.
maintain eye contact for longer
Porque
than
há uma
his
galera com
adversary.
cabelo vermelho
It's
que não pertence à vida de
psychological
ninguém
battle
para
of
além da
attrition
sua.
between two opposing forces, and these moments can sometimes last for minutes on end.
Uf.
Me and you both know it's no different than when you was a little kid, right?
Imagina que ela desaparecia,
You reached in that cookie jar and you got
por
caught
coincidência
after your mom told you
desaparecia,
not to get
e alguém
it.
fazia clipe a esta parte,
Did you get a cookie?
e a polícia tipo mostrava-te.
You feel bad about it right then. One,
Qual é a sua alcunha no. Qual é o seu username no twitch.tv? Tu como assim?
that weighs on you. Because you know you did something bad.
You know you did something bad.
Am I right? You and take the cookie. You smell like you've been cleaning up, like you've been using cleaner to clean up. I know what that smells like. My wife smells.
We know
like
you
that
did
all the time.
something
She cleans
bad.
that house. You've been using some
We
time to
have.
clean up your apartment, haven't you?
Looks like you're an
You
asshole.
telling me you live like a man? How does your apartment get clean? When was the last time you cleaned it, Stephen?
Eu nem sei o que é o Kindred Cute Feet. O Aleph parece que
Was it this
percebeu.
week?
Provavelmente era uma
You mean you go a
music
whole week
reference.
without cleaning? Why? That's horrible, Stephen. I don't know how else to say it, Stephen. Let me tell you what I think. I think that she was a friend of yours. Look at her right here.
League of
That she was a
Legends.
friend of yours.
Yikes. Para que
And
lado
I
é que eu
think
vou?
something happened, Stephen.
Vou para o lado de receber um slot.
You used to watch her come in and out of her apartment, didn't you?
Uma personagem do LoL. Que já não tenho. Aqui.
How y'all doing? We're just talking.
Yeah, eu prefiro Cargo.
You telling me you looked at a pretty girl like that and you never once thought, ever, man, she looks good. You never thought that?
Where is he going with this? Pera, o
What do you
character
mean
é
you
mesmo
understand?
isso?
You know how when you're sitting there you see a girl walking down the road?
Não quero
You
falar
say,
com
man,
meus
that girl looks good.
gente.
You ever see a good looking girl on the road, you think to yourself, man, that girl looks good.
Ah, eu não quero falar com ninguém aqui.
You never thought that about her? So you mean to tell me you look at porn on the internet and get off to that, but you never looked at her and said, man, I wonder what it'd be like to have sex with her?
Olha, isso parece o planeta Terra, meu.
You have?
Chama-se Leto. Aggressive Sentinels.
Steven, this is hard.
Pronome controls a Lamb e que é a quem as pessoas referem quando lhe chamam de Kindred.
There's blood in your
Oh.
apartment, Steven.
Falar em
You
Lamb.
didn't get it all up.
This is the widely recognized futility technique, which is used to make the subject believe it is useless to resist.
Esta técnica é
due to the
bocado.
overwhelming evidence against
Peraí.
them. It's most effective when the
Eu não gosto
interrogator
muito
can
desta.
play on doubts that already
Eu não gosto muito desta technique, meu. Parece um bocado. I don't know. Is this ethical? I don't know, man.
exist in the subject's mind. The only problem here is that Stephen didn't dismember Lauren inside his apartment. It all happened in Lauren's apartment, so the detective's bluff is already called at this point.
It didn't all come off. You scrubbed and you wiped. But we can tell that. Don't you watch CSI?
E não te esqueças que eles estão num estado de stress muito alto.
Steven,
Tu dizes isso, Aleph, mas imagina, aquilo é uma situação. Ok.
The detective now
Peraí.
completely shifts his strategy from
É uma situação de high stress, mesmo que não tenhas culpa, acabas por dizer coisas. Tipo, o que eu quero dizer é. A maneira como conduzes a interrogação, é assim que se diz? Não importa. Pode fazer com que tu respondas coisas que não fazem sentido. Nem tu próprio estás tipo. Mesmo que não tenhas culpa, certo? É mais essa a preocupação ética que eu tenho. Tu numa situação dessa, sob grande stress, não tiveste feito nada. Tá bem, mas imagina que não estás a perceber, meu. Imagina que estás ali há 2 horas ou caraças e tipo há técnicas que me parecem que vão-te fazer responder coisas que, apesar de não teres culpa, possas parecer culpado. That's what I'm getting at. Sim, ele tentou um bluff.
confrontational and aggressive to sympathetic and understanding. He attempts to create a connection and then afford Stephen a more socially acceptable reason for the crime. This is extremely difficult to pull off after a direct confrontation, as there is no established rapport nor trust. The usual routine is the exact opposite. You would first build rapport and then get aggressive once a connection has been attained.
I wanted to give you an
Oh, o meu
opportunity.
comando desligou-se.
I wanted to be here with you to go through that process because I know you're not a monster, man. I know you're not a bad guy. You're just a hard-working student trying to pass a bar exam, man.
Ah, e agora é que tu...
You ain't got a lot of support from your family, do you?
Now you're trying this?
You do?
The strategy fails at the first hurdle. Stephen immediately shuts down the afforded sympathy and reasoning behind the alleged crime, which was the concept of unsupportive parents. But the detective now attempts to roll with it.
A lot of people can't say that. And the fact that you do have support from your family should make things easier. Your family wants to feel like they've raised somebody that tells the truth and is honest, right?
Yes.
Did you hear that girl, Stephen?
E tentam sim. E muitas vezes o que eles fazem é quando o questionário já está a durar há muito tempo, eles são tipo, epá, vamos só embora daqui, meu. Eu sei que estás cansado, eu estou cansado.
Made mistakes in my life.
Diz aquilo que nós todos já sabemos. Estás a ver, tipo...
Sometimes people get mad and they say things they don't mean to say, it hurts. You never kicked a dog or a cat?
The lead detective then asks non-confrontational questions for almost 30 minutes, which is most likely to see if it will change the suspect's demeanor and the manner in which he responds. But it doesn't. Stephen maintains the same lifeless disposition which he has now kept up for almost 90 minutes.
You know what's crazy? I was talking to people that he works with and everything, they talk about how he's always
Porquê é que ele só
expressing
conta 20
himself.
minutos então? 26.
He's very talkative. Steve, they say you're so talkative, bud.
Não estava atento.
That you always so friendly. You stop in and say hello, and you talk. Well, why is it that you're acting so short with us tonight? If you have all this character and personality about you, why is it that everything that we get from you is yes, no, or I don't know? Why are you acting like this, Steve?
What am I doing
See, I'm
right
able to
now?
talk in complete sentences, like we're having a conversation, but the only thing you're bringing to the table is a yes, no, or I don't know. Steven, did you hurt that girl?
No.
Would you tell me if you did?
Yes.
Have you lied to me at all in this interview?
No.
Yes, you have, Steven. When was the last time you did laundry? You ain't washed clothes in a few weeks? Why? No, you don't. That's another lie. You don't have a lot of clothes. No. You got enough underwear to last you 3 weeks?
Yes.
Do you wear the same pair of underwear more than one day?
Yes.
É por isso que tentas ser rude? Assim não posso ser incriminado de qualquer tipo de homicídio ou crime violento. Wait, what? How?
Where's that little girl, Steven? Steven, you know. You're gonna look at this right here, this little girl right here.
Olha, quando é que eles questionam pessoas que não são culpadas?
I know you know.
Isso era cool. Só para ver
Yes,
também.
you know. What are you gonna say tomorrow when I say we got your hair? What are you gonna say to me then? Because you know, like I go like that. Look at my hair. That's how easy it falls out. Look at all that on your head. You don't think nothing fell out? It did.
As we know, Stephen went inside Lauren's apartment with her friends 3 days after she was already deceased. This would give reason for his DNA being found at the scene, and would essentially nullify its use as damnatory evidence. Stephen, being a law student, would be well aware of this.
He's a law
Give you
student.
an opportunity to tell it, so you didn't look like a monster at the end. Because you know what? I don't
Hey,
believe
he could
that
be a
you're
bad
monster,
student.
Steven. I believe that you're a good guy. You've been picked on. Girls didn't show you the
Não pode ser
respect that you
acusado, se toda a
deserve.
gente-
You did something stupid, and I believe you feel bad about it, and that's why you're all freaked out right now. But I'm giving you the opportunity to get right. I'm giving you an opportunity to show everybody you're not a monster, that you feel bad about what happened. Your hair is there, man. Your hair is there.
Mas sabes,
That's right, buddy.
peraí,
See that?
What is he doing?
Look at it.
Anyway, a razão pela qual eu gostava de ver pessoas inocentes era para tu poderes ter comparação entre... Para poderes ter um threshold, estás a ver? De comparação entre pessoas culpadas e pessoas não culpadas. Dentro do mesmo setting de entrevistas, não é? Ou interrogações, vá.
See how easy? See this stuff right here, your hair? Yeah, it fell out of your head when you were moving the body, Stephen. That's right. You remember moving the body? Yes, you do, Stephen.
Stephen.
Why, man? Why? Tell me, bud.
Dude, I got no fuel.
Yes, you did, Stephen. We want you to tell it so that way people will understand you're not a monster. Things just, you got out of control. It's a sickness. Why'd you do it, Stephen? Stephen, why are you going to keep telling that? You hurt that girl. Yes, you did, Stephen. You hurt her, man. She was screaming.
Was she?
Screaming, Stephen. Why? And I know you feel bad about it. I can see it in your face. What came over you, man? What happened, Stephen?
I don't know.
I know you don't know. You couldn't control it, could you?
I didn't do it.
Stephen! They steal your hair and take it over there? They didn't, did they? That's right. It's all sinking in right now. He knows what you're thinking. Stephen, I don't want it to be a game between me and you. I know it hurts, and I know you're not an awful person and you want to tell it. Your hair was there, Stephen. We've all known it all along.
Steven, this is not...
Just to give you an opportunity to tell what
Hashtag
happened.
we're here for Steven.
Did y'all have sex?
No.
Did you try to have sex?
No.
Think about having sex?
No.
Liar.
Do you know what sex
What kind of man
is?
doesn't think about having sex? You said earlier you like girls, right?
Yes.
You said she's a pretty girl, right?
Yes.
What'd you do to her, Stephen?
I didn't do anything.
You're lying. You hurt that girl.
No, I didn't.
Sure it did. And that's why you're
Stephen.
having this massive meltdown right now.
Oh,
The
Steven.
detective quite literally repeats the phrase, "You hurt that girl," to which Stephen responds, "No, I didn't." And this goes on for the best part of 20 minutes. Perhaps the detective's strategy was to induce mental exhaustion, yet it had no effect whatsoever.
Why did you hurt that girl?
I didn't.
Why'd you hurt her, Stephen?
I didn't.
You hurt her, Stephen.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, you did.
Steven, why are you doing this, Steven?
Take this from me. You don't deserve to look at it. Just stay right here, okay?
Okay.
I appreciate all your cooperation tonight, okay?
Okay.
Steven levou a expressão de espetar nela demasiado a sério. Se assim meio ama começa a... Oh my god. Yeah! Era assim, não era?
Here we go. I just need to discuss a few more things with you.
The lead detective now abandons the pursuit of any sort of admission. He instead proceeds to belittle and humiliate the suspect as much as possible. It may have a tactical purpose, but it's more likely out of frustration, alongside the fact he is certain of the suspect's culpability.
Where I know earlier today you told me you stayed home all weekend, right? In your apartment. Yes. Did anybody see you? Did you talk to anybody over the weekend? Were you on your computer all weekend? Is there anything I can look at that I can say he couldn't be involved because he was on the computer, or he was online on a porn site, or
Enquanto assim sai impune?
Doing college work or anything
Boa pergunta.
that would exclude you as being involved.
Mas estás a dizer que eles sabem que ele é assassino, mas depois ele safa-se em tribunal?
This weekend at the house? Did you go out to get a newspaper? Did you wave to a neighbor? Or you just locked yourself in all week?
Yes.
Nobody saw you?
A policial daí.
I mean, what do you just
Oh shit, vai haver porrada.
I mean, what do you do all day in the house? I mean, you've always done that your whole life? You don't have no friends? How can you go your whole life without a friend?
Yo, I visited 40 systems. Isto é a minha crew a ajudar-me.
Where they at? Have your friends here, maybe? Name one. Everybody's talking about the same people I talked to today. They're not your friends.
One of the reasons interrogations are so fascinating is the ethical vacuum it creates for everyone inside its bubble. In any other circumstance, the detective's behavior here would be considered cruel and reprehensible. He's essentially bullying the suspect, yet the empathy we would normally have is now stripped away through the oppression of retribution. We know this person has done something horrific, and the treatment he is now receiving is merited through his own actions.
They're not your friends.
See what I'm saying?
It's all over anyways. Just want to know what's going on tonight. You know what you did to her, so we just want to know what if you were going to tell her or not. That's what you said.
Sodium? Oh fuck. Oh! What's happening?
We already know. We know you killed.
Sempre disse que bullying é necessário. Pensei que eras um bully hunter.
Your sister's husband knows it. The one that used to beat your sister. He knows it. You know what he said? He said he's a crazy motherfucker, is what he said. I called him. That's your own family calling.
Ah, filho merda.
Nobody wants to see you. Nobody's coming to visit you. And sit there with that dumb look on your face. It's over.
The entire interrogation took over 2 hours. When sped up by 20,000%, you truly get a glimpse of how remarkable the suspect's catatonic performance was.
Foda-se. That's crazy.
His mother came to speak with him soon after this moment, and although he maintained his innocence, he immediately snapped out of a zombie-like character. It's difficult to interpret the reasoning behind the performance, whether it was a pre-planned strategy, improvised in the moment, or some type of psychological breakdown is unclear. But whatever it was, it evidently seemed to work, as the interrogators got nothing. The suspect's behavior was so abnormal, they were essentially at a loss with what to do, or where to even start with a specific plan
That's
of attack.
insane.
The evidence, however, was irrefutable. Hundreds of pictures of Lauren were discovered on Stephen's flash drive, along with multiple video recordings of inside her apartment.
Stephen.
A hacksaw was found in a supply closet of the apartment complex, and it was marked red with what was later identified as Lauren's blood through DNA testing. The packaging for the exact same hacksaw was found in Stephen's apartment. When confronted with the evidence, he took a plea deal to avoid the death penalty and was rendered a life sentence without the possibility of parole. He is currently being held at the high-security Hancock State Prison in Sparta, Georgia.
good to be back. Hope you're doing well. This is the 6th and final installment of my Stephen McDaniels commentary. Man, it's been a slog. We are deep in the troll vortex of insanity. I don't think anyone's gone this far. It's like cave diving, but a lot more dangerous.
Yo, cargo bulkhead, let's go. Yeah, se não tivesse encontrado a pen nem nada. Onde é que está o... Oi, está ali. Bruh. Eu não sei se aguento mais. Oh, peraí, já é meia-noite, meu. What the fuck? Está na hora de ir para a cama. Amanhã é dia de trabalho. Tudo o que o gajo fez foi não falar, yeah. Quase certeza, por exemplo, quase certeza que um juiz, se eles disserem, olhem, estava aqui este gajo, era vizinho, o gajo parece muito insane, meu, por favor, deixa-nos, dá-nos um warrant para inspecionarmos a casa dele. Ele, fuck yeah, foda-se, o gajo parece insane. E lá encontraram a pen. $800,000 units. É bom ver estes monstros do mundo real antes de ir para a cama. True, foda-se. Unstoppable Force vs. The Immovable Object, indeed. Damn, opa. Yeah, muito fixe ver isto antes de ir dormir. É que tipo, eu brinco como quem diz, haha, estou a brincar, por isso não vai acontecer, mas aposto que amanhã de manhã vou ainda ter na cabeça fresco sonhos sobre serial killers ou uma merda assim. Já estou mesmo a ver. E repara, nenhuma destas pessoas era um serial killer. Aliás, não, eu acho que já vi um em que... Ei, peraí, uma vez, mas não tem nada a ver com JCS, crime, whatever. Acho que abriam... Eu quase nunca vejo televisão, mas uma vez estava a fazer zapping e apareceu um canal de crime e apareceu um serial killer, meu. Que cena. O gajo já velhote a dizer tipo, sim, e depois eu estava, sei lá, há 20 anos atrás fui apanhado assim. Fugi para ali, fui para acolá, e depois eles estavam a misturar o testemunho do gajo com a polícia, tipo com o que a polícia tinha na altura, até o encontrar. Damn, that's crazy. Jesus. Rec thread? Eu não vejo rec threads, meu. I can't. Can't do it. Espera aí, eu tenho que ir para um determinado sistema, não é? Este gajo vai dar o baza, não é? Vou lá com uma nave na tola. Yo, give me some stuff, bruh. Vamos ter mesmo só dinheiro. Não. Dinheiro é dinheiro. Olha, eu tenho mais chips, meu. Eu por acaso qualquer dia vou investir nelas, porque uma delas parece mesmo cool. Uou. Epá, estou bué de longe de casa. Investiste numa solar. A que eu tenho assim umas asas engraçadas. Se calhar também é solar, não sei. Tenho que ver. Espera aí, eu posso ver a lista de naves? Não posso. I can summon my squadron. Oh, não. Não te preocupar com gota. Tu podes ver o tipo se apontares para elas com o visor. Oh. A minha é o launch fuel que eu não preciso preocupar. Porque ele regenera. Arranja uma coisa para ele regenerar. Onde é que está a Space Station? Está ali. Ui. Como assim? Classe slots? What do you mean? Like this? A minha tier B, acho eu. Tá B. Eu acho que ela começa a ser, porque eu sei que dei um upgrade. São muitos nanites, mas whatever. Nem sei o que é que faz. Subir o tiro. Provavelmente os base stats aumentam todos. Ou potential stats aumentam. Yeah man, thank you. Thank you. Eu acho que vou ficar por aqui, meu. Parece que vai haver demasiadas galáxias para... Não, eu não parei o vídeo é que já acabou. Mas por isso está... Por hoje... Exato. Ok, aumenta os... Ok, that's cool. That's cool. Devia fazer isso para a minha... Para a minha pistola. Como é que chama? Multitool. Devia fazer isso para essa, que já estão no máximo. Mas pronto, por isso já chega. Já foi fixe, meu. Spooky times. Que sono. Vá, portem-se mal. Obrigado pela companhia. Let's go. See ya.